Hey everyone that's joining. Seeing that.
So if you start with a small talk session, then let me onboard you. Let me start saying iPX welcomes Scale Digital. Berlin welcomes London. And Dimi says hello to Steve and Dominic.
Thank you.
Let's start this way. So let me onboard you before you start with your presentation, what happened so far, right? So we started very much with a keynote talking about partnership marketing, right? Or partner marketing, right? And talking about the evolution from affiliate marketing to partner marketing, or partner marketing being a way of professionalism within affiliate marketing, right? So classifying the different business models, right? Designing services based on business models, such as influencer marketing, content marketing, you name it, right? And step from one-to-many communication to one-to-one communication, which is a transition process. And we were wondering and discussing about the maturity status, right, of partner marketing, right, judging about the German market. And I'm very curious to have your opinion about this transition process from affiliate marketing to partner marketing, and also sharing with us your market knowledge, right? So the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's almost like we rehearsed this. That's the exact question. It's exciting. I think this is in my almost 30 years of being in performance generally, CPC, through traditional affiliates and down to through network life and now to agency life. I think this is the most exciting time. It's really enjoyable. There's so much stuff that's happening. There was an event in the UK yesterday, a new association called the APMA, and they've been talking about some of the themes that you've been discussing today. It was very timely because I saw some posts this morning that on LinkedIn about some of the numbers, and they absolutely staggered me. I've made a quick note of them. It's 1.7 billion pounds in the UK now spent on affiliate advertising. This is just desktop, and generating 21 billion pounds of revenue. Now I'm talking about the UK, and I know this is a German event. I mean, we look at the US and we see things that are coming, and we're excited by them. We're very proud of CPA. This whole thing. And Impact has led on this. When Impact joined, they started in the UK 6 or 7 years ago, and Dom and I started Scale. We felt that this whole thing was happening. It's been a bit slower than we expected, but it's really happening now. There's the burgeoning budgets, the increase in the types of media, the ambition of brands, the sophistication of the clients. What we realize, we're now talking to growth managers now who have come from networks, they've come from digital advertising. These are not sort of marketing directors who park affiliate in the corner. And the CPA generally now has really got momentum. We're excited about it. And in fact, I know, Dimi, we talked before about this word affiliate, this sort of semi-retired phrase. This is now sort of CPA. We were thinking about what we called this session as CPA beyond, beyond desktop, beyond affiliate. There's a thing now. We ran a little thing in the office this morning about the number of different types of. I've got a list here that I had to use both sides. 20 different types of affiliates now. That's just desktop.
Yes.
Everything from brokers, closed user groups, networks, comparison, retargeting, just all these. A lot of them have been around forever, but this is 20. It's not really one channel; it's 20. Yeah. And I think it's exciting because I see the markets in Europe. I think the UK, Germany, and France are the leaders on this. Impact have led with this partnership economy thing. Global tracking, everything. And we talk to our clients frequently about. Now all media is up for grabs on the CPA. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah.
And the sophistication of the tracking. Social media as well. There's so much that's happening that is really exciting. Anyway, we're pleased to be here today. I know we've got a short session. We're going to flash through. So what we'd like to do a little bit is talk about that. What does it mean to be? this sort of collapsing of brand and education and awareness and acquisition, they're meeting, like the crumple zone is in the middle here now, where everything is happening, and the amount of spend. And this is excluding sort of retail media like Amazon and Walmart and the rest of it. That's parallel or adjacent. There's a lot going on. There's pressure on budgets for TV in particular. I think digital now outweighs TV generally. And it's a great time to be in CPA. It really is. And Impact are leading the way on that. So we've got a little session here. I'm going to pass to Dom shortly about some sort of general examples. We picked 5 of the sort of master channels, if you like. We've got affiliate. We've been doing desktop forever, and as I just said, there's about 20 odd sub channels with an affiliate. But now CPA beyond desktop includes Creator. The Impact Creator product now to enable mid-type or nano influencers to operate in a profitable way, tracked, have some responsibility to brands through what was Activate, and as last year was launched as a Creator product. Is fantastic. It synthesizes and dovetails so well with the desktop product and enables some of the mid-type creators to do great things and be tracked. Mobile, I mean, we've moved from, I'd say in 3 years, something like 90% being desktop to now half being desktop of our revenue. Maybe a third is mobile now. And these are Dom to talk a bit about what we're driving with post-install event tracking. So not CPI bombing and all the horrible stuff that goes with that, but sophisticated setups that Impact supports through the MMPs on post-install events. And we've got clients now who are fashion brands, for example, who you'd think, why would these people have a mobile app? But they do, and they want to drive customer loyalty and increase basket values through this channel. And then 2 sort of slightly fun ones and newer ones that are happening at the moment: connected television and voice activation. So I think generally there's just, I feel personally extremely proud of the channel of CPA. I think, I've got lots of friends who work in programmatic and display and search, and they've had these huge budgets for years. But we're reaching a point now where I think the message is getting through with brands that a proper CPA strategy and budget, and as I was saying, I think 10%, I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but 10% now is the amount of budgets that's being spent on CPA. And of course, we also get robbed a little bit because some of our CPA activities display as well and everything else. But it's now, I think we've sort of grown up now, and this whole business about growth managers being dedicated to looking at this type of activity brings us, now as we go into 2025, it's going to hopefully be a big Q4, but 2025, we should all be very confident about what we're doing, and we're pleased to be attached with Impact leading the way on this. So we're going to cover in a little bit more detail about these 5 channels now, so I'll pass to Dom.
Yeah, so I think one of the things, I mean, you'll notice throughout the rest of the kind of presentation, we have this framework or the recipe, so talent, technology, and traffic. So, I mean, it's kind of at the core of all the channels. So the ones that Stephen just covered, we have this framework where, the talent is on our side. And I think in general, like whilst we're talking about ourselves predominantly, I think that it's important we think this is the right framework that you should apply in general to these channels. So obviously from a talent perspective, having the right, growth specialists or people in that role that have the experience, the contacts, we're very much a partnerships, people channel and business, and that you can't replace that with that anything other than building those relationships and spending time and networking and doing events like today where you meet new people, and you're building off those initial kind of connections you've had previously. Technology, I mean, of course, this impact.com powering, across all of our solutions and the ones we think are, or the channels we think where the growth is for this kind of CPA heritage moving into that impact.com is at the core of that. And of course, any platforms that are adjacent to that. So when we go through the different channels, the MMPs, the mobile measurement platforms like Apps for iJust, I'm sure lots of the brands and the agencies and partners on this session that you've been exposed to, or you work with those kind of platforms. And then the traffic. So yeah, I mean, Stephen touched on within the affiliate space, or the traditional kind of desktop affiliate space, there's these 20 sub channels, and actually, yeah, the traffic piece applies across all of the different channels. They'll just be in different, variants. So of course, in the affiliate space, the price comparison, the incentive, the content players, there's a whole plethora of different, tactics and strategies to apply there. But I think, yeah, we found, again, a lot by trial and error and long time kind of testing and trying different things, that this framework actually is the right one. If you apply it to different channels, it can, it's the right way to run an effective campaign. So, I mean, again, this is not a sales pitch. I think it's just important that, so if you take that three talent, technology, traffic framework, in terms of how we look at, applying that in our day to day, again, years of testing various, setups that we've landed on this kind of framework. So if you think of the talent piece, you've got the strategic growth specialist, technology, of course, the forecasting and targets and the bespoke reporting, that being powered in another way, that we're really always thinking about how do we put the three T's, we call it, into our everyday management and delivery of the campaigns and services and solutions we have. So we've obviously talked a lot about traditional affiliate and desktop, and of course creator and the influencer industry and channel has been one that we've kind of inherited from this CPA heritage, that traditionally it's an above the line brand play, it's CPC, it's CPM, it's fixed budget, that we haven't always had access to as the performance or CPA channel. But where the likes of Creator as a platform have really come in is actually to help us, or help fit into that journey. So again, similar framework with the talent, technology and traffic piece, but I think where we split it into layers. So you see on the right, bit of a graphic around this layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 play, where I think we as a channel, or partner marketers and performance CPA based partners, we can fit into that channel, particularly in the micro nano space, where I'm sure lots of brands and agencies, partners that you've come across, that they're working on this model where you almost let the traditional influencer platforms that have done a great job building their businesses around the more brand fixed budget play, but there's still a place for us to be in that journey, but in a different way. And I think we're getting more traction with brands in particular who are adopting that, where we all get given budgets or remits or KPIs around the performance layer, but we're not affecting what their other in-house influencer teams or creator teams are doing. So there is a world we can all live in the same place. I think the key thing here really is, similar to our sort of offering and the framework we think works best for it. The difference is, of course, with every channel, there's slight nuances in how you need to go about the delivery. Of course, with the creator and influencer, in particular, there's the workflow. You've got to do casting, you've got to do, content sign off, you've got to do different iterations of the campaign, brief before it goes live. Like we've adapted each one in the way we think is the most efficient. And of course, again, with products and platforms like Crater, that they've already got a lot of those bits of the infrastructure there. So we save a lot of time having to build these things ourselves. There's already the technology there to leverage it. So I think mobiles are, I mean, for us and in general for the channel and CPA as a play, I think many people, you probably heard the phrase the year of mobile probably 10 years ago. Like every year seems to be, there's a different thing that's focused on. And I think where we're seeing a lot more traction is actually in the world sort of post installs. So historically, mobile through the affiliate or performance channel has been CPI, so cost per install. Essentially you have to buy that media. Of course, you can arbitrage it. So we work with many media partners and agencies and NAD networks who have to buy that inventory on a CPI. But what we've built, and I think where there's a real opportunity for the CPA space to tap into, is this post-install, really diving into customer retention play for brands. I mean, we work with many who they've tried CPI. It's you can acquire users on a relatively cheap metric, but really you're not getting the quality user that you want. So I think what we'll find, or we're certainly seeing, is more brands testing this environment. So whether it's a user acquisition like model first, of course, we're all interested mainly in how do we get new users across the line and directly through apps. So whether it's retail, fintech, gaming, gambling, there's so many different verticals that there's a whole different world there that we can leverage. So traditionally, the mobile partners in the space that operates on its own ecosystem, we are now entering that, which, I mean, versus desktop and web-based traffic, it's actually quite scary how big the potential is. It's a huge industry. When you look at the numbers there, in terms of number of spend, the total of hours that people are actually investing in it, and it's relatively low risk, again, because we've created this environment where you can do it on a CPA. So this is a little bit more, again, for anyone who isn't as close to the actual kind of ways and ins and outs of how the mobile landscape works, but essentially, very much like a display and programmatic play. We're plugging into the DSPs as an ad exchange play going on, and we're managing to get into that ecosystem. And I think where Impact really can come into have a piece of that pie, particularly, is around the contracting and the ability for partners to actually use it as a mechanism to be part of a bigger piece of the acquisition pie. We work with lots of brands who actually use it for the contracting, payment piece, as well as partners who also use it predominantly for the tracking side of it. So there's a huge opportunity for brands to get involved in it. And like I said, it's a whole different ecosystem to the one where those core affiliate display partners that we're all used to. I mean, the framework's very similar again for mobile influencer and affiliate. Is the main differences here are the M&P management. So the likes of Appsar and Adjust, I'm sure many of you have worked with or heard of. We're very invested in, we're preferred and accredited partners of theirs. So we have a good idea and scope over the platforms and how they operate, how we get the best out of the reporting, the customer success management team and piece. And then the fraud monitoring, which is a huge piece of mobile for anyone that's ventured into those waters. It's certainly a channel that has its challenges there, but we have a very clear kind of framework to work against across each channel with its own needs. So I think the next two slides really around connected TV and voice commerce. I think we'll kind of dive quickly through these, because essentially it's these where we think there's a huge emerging opportunity to tap into channels that historically would not even sit in the digital space. They're very much connected TV is kind of an evolution of linear TV, and out of home, above the line, it would sit very much with a different team or channel and budget for a client. But again, we're managing to navigate this channel and use the CPA metric as the kind of champion for it, which of course many brands love, because we're tapping into this channel that otherwise is very expensive. It's very unattainable for a lot of SMEs in particular. But we can get on Hulu TV or Amazon Prime, or we've got these partnerships which allow us to serve to for brands who otherwise might not be able to do that kind of activity. We have got that leverage through the partnerships, and I think it's a channel that if you're not testing or not looking at, in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be a really key part of digital user acquisition. We'd advise everyone to be looking into the CTV strategy for sure. The last one I think was voice commerce or voice activation. So on the surface it might sound a bit gimmicky to some brands or partners, but actually it's a huge opportunity again to take what a traditional or linear radio in particular channel. So if you're buying your media on the big radio and TV house kind of outlets, so you can serve your radio ads, what's happening now is we're seeing more brands are leveraging smart home devices. So Alexa in particular, I mean, crazy stat, 90 million households in the US alone use a smart device, which is I believe, but also it just shows how these are all opportunities to actually talk to your customers, and it can be a engagement and an acquisition play. So in this case, we are literally, I mean, in the UK, there's an example with Tesco Mobile Direct where they're on the TV radio ad, and that you can talk to your Alexa device and then get sent an SMS with a deep link to the product. And that's where we as a CPA player can operate and bridge the two channels together and actually make what's normally an awareness metric something that now can drive new users and retention and valuable customers for brands. I mean, I think that was
that's it. So
in a nutshell, that was a bit of a whistle stop tour of some of the things where we think there's a big opportunity in the channels. We'd love to open some questions up to anyone if you have them. Thanks for listening to us.
Thank you very much. And of course, we have questions. Let me start giving you an immediate feedback, right? So we had the very first touch point 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? And my gut feeling was the guys can communicate, they can present, right? So that's why I had really high expectations for your presentation. And my feedback is my gut feeling was right. And the expectations
that's good. I don't know where you're going to go that.
were fully met, guys. Congratulations. Great presentation in terms of content and in terms of culture, right? Because this is also the beauty of the conference, to enrich, right, the cultural context, adding your ideas. But if I want to be a little bit critical and start analyzing your message, right? There are some difficulties to classify poetry versus truth, right? To find the boundaries, right? And I'm going to be very concrete. I fully agree with you about your recipe. It's about talent, it's about technology, it's about traffic. But there is an ingredient missing, right? And which is a pain point, at least in the German market, which is having the right mindset, right? The mindset to professionalize, right? CPA marketing, to professionalize affiliate marketing, to step from one-to-many communication, treating affiliates as an anonymous mass, right? To one-to-one communication, understanding business models, right? Creating personalized services and creating personalized commission schemes. So I would like to have your standpoint on that, your ideas on that, also reflecting about the maturity status in England.
It's a good question, and I'm pleased you answered. Again, it sounds like we've rehearsed this. One of the reasons it was interesting doing this was the experience that we've had here in London with Impact joining or arriving in the UK, and the messages that they were talking. We felt the same. We thought, when our colleagues on the brand side and the technology partners that we're going to catch up with this. As I said at the beginning, we're extremely proud of the CPA channel. We love it. I've always loved it. I think it's great. And there was a bit of, okay, well, eventually people will catch up. And as I said, with some of those stats at the beginning and the vast amounts of money, I feel like we have now. And we feel it's very exciting for our business, and we're really excited to expand into the other channels. And I think the context of Germany is, I think that it will suddenly break as well. It will break. The old network model. I worked at Trade Doubler. I worked out of the Munich office at Trade Doubler many, many times for a number of years. I worked for WebGains as well. It was good, very successful, good businesses. But the network model is slightly different to what this new sort of SaaS-backed CPA thing is, with lots of media types. And I think, to directly answer your question, I think, I don't mean to say Germany's slow, it definitely isn't. But, I think in terms of this sort of advanced CPA media, maybe you're a year behind. And I think for, everyone on the call here, let's get ready for that. For the things that we're seeing here with these huge launches of budgets and all these sophisticated, I'm in my 50s, and we're dealing with people who are CMOs who are, Dom's age, in their 30s. They're very smart, cool people. They know how to spend their money. They like spending CPA budgets. They get it. They understand the tracking, the sophistication. They understand user journey and multi-attribution. These are wise people now. And I think what will happen, and I hope it'll be sooner than a year, but you'll suddenly arrive at this as well. So I think we've got to be ready for that. I mean, Impact's ready. Impact's there. The technology's there. The publisher types, most of them are global. The internet has no boundaries. I think the thing that's last is always the brand's budgets and their ambition. But that will come.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You are always referring to CPA media, right? As being the future, and I fully agree with you. I'm just trying to understand to what extent the European markets are ready for this disruption, right? To plan media based on CPA. And let me share with you some ongoing conversation in the German market, right? The publishers in Germany are in favor not only of CPA-based commissions, but on hybrid commissions, which means CPA plus media fee or plus promotional fund payment, right? So it's a hybrid way of payment. Would you agree in this vision of CPA media that we need to add some additional elements in our commission schemes?
Yes, and that is a fair point. A caveat that I should have added. You're right to ask. I mean, some of my notes here on my little bits of paper, I was talking about, I've written here shared risk, and I think the shared risk thing is quite important, because we say this. So the brand has to take some of the risk, the publishers take some of the risk, and us as the agency take. It's a shared risk. So the publisher can't take all of the risk. So in that regards, I think some sort of blended model, a hybrid model, tenancy, classic tenancy, is appropriate, yes. in certain circumstances. And also, a lot of the time, particularly with the drive, brands rather, they want more content and, up funnel type of advertising. That takes work to create. So I think there's a responsibility for the brands to pay some degree of, fixed fee as part of the model, certainly, yes.
Yeah. And talking about CPA media, right? What is the current trend? And again, I'm sharing with you what we are experiencing in Germany, right? Which is due to addressability issues. So we are able to understand less and less target audiences, right? We have a lower conversion rates, leading to higher acquisition costs. So is it the time to educate the market? And I'm referring to the advertisers market, right? To readjust their target CPAs?
Well, what Dom presented, where we're widening or broadening the media type, helps with that challenge. Because take CTV, for example. People, there's three types of CTV. There's consoles, there's televisions, and the people are watching on their laptops. It's very highly targeted. People have to log in. I think as we continually move away from the incentive traffic into the more UCG content, that problem will change. So we can be very sure about who our audience is. Where you're just publishing, the incentive is still an important part of the channel, but that's a bit more scattergun. The advent or these new channels we've been talking about. Voice, for example, the ability for a brand to know whether it's Spotify or a radio station or something, exactly who is listening. You only serve that ad to the person who's, exactly who they are. They've logged into a podcast. So you can, because of the broadening of the media types, you can deal with that problem better.
Mm-hmm. And have you progressed in the UK market when it comes to cross-device tracking, to identifying audience?
Answer that.
Because in Germany, we are still struggling, right? Technology is set as a pillar of all future visions, but it's very hard, right, to measure audiences across the different channels and devices.
Yeah, no, I think it's still, and this is where in our framework of the talent, tech and traffic piece, where we kind of rely on the technology players of, all these amazing platforms, including Impact, that we're relying on to give us this true, reporting and measuring all the work and, effort we're putting into our campaigns. That, if you take CTV again is a great example with the likes of AppsFly and Adjust. I think if you ask them, honestly, they still haven't nailed, the attribution. The way it works at the moment is probabilistic. Essentially it's, if you see an ad on your TV, it's based on your IP address and the postcode of the, there's the classic, we know pretty much it's you, but we can't prove it. But there's so many loopholes in it, which, we find some of the campaigns we've run and tested with it, that in fact, because the brands have bought into it being, it is an awareness channel, but we can get acquisition from it. They actually don't mind if anyone, we're the ones that lose out when it's not tracked because we're not getting paid, but they're getting free awareness, So
probabilistic's better than cookie.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
It's an ongoing debate, of course, with everyone. It comes up, but I think for us, we almost, that part of our model, and I think how a lot of brands should look at it, is that's where the technology, that's their job really, is to make sure we're trying to leverage what they've built, not what we built.
Let me finish. As you can notice, Andre is joining the conference, so that means we're running out
of time.
The boss is here.
Exactly, we're running out of time, but let me finish our great conversation with a statement from the keynote. So from the very first presentation of our conference, we were talking about partnerships and ingredients of successful partnerships, right? Things like trust, reliability, dedication, and so on, right? And the guy was talking about two cultural concepts: high context versus low context. High context mean being open in a communication, low context mean being open in a communication, express your feelings.
Yeah.
High context mean very implicitly, right? And there were two examples. Japanese are high context culture. Germans are low context culture. What about you guys? Where do you classify yourselves?
Good question. How long have I got to answer?
10 seconds.
I think we'd like to be a bit of Japan and Germany, to be honest. I mean, within,
I think it depends on.
Yeah, I mean, within advertising time, I mean, you're saying about implicit, you know, to something that you feel warm about is important, but you also need something explicit, particularly when you're doing advertising that requires an outcome. So I've dodged the question, didn't I?
Yes, I'm in favor of implicit.
You like a bit of both.
Thank you so much for your time, for the great presentation, and for sharing the insight with us. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao.